Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, I have about 30 seconds of voice left for today. So, um, what I did is put together a video of every single Starship launch to date and what to expect in the morning, as well as what the Starship program is. So we'll see Earth point to point and trip to Mars to end this off. It's going to play running time's about an hour. You'll see a couple of the special ones, 8, 9, and those are the ones I actually saw in person. So we're gonna play the whole launch sequence. Other than that, they're mainly just snippets for time sake. But you'll get a good picture of where this program came from and where it's going. And I'm gonna do it without commentary. I might jump in every once in a while, but um, yeah, we'll see. But so enjoy. Probably both the ones I saw exploded, so it wasn't very lucky.
Three, two, one. Copy that, Raptor.
Spacecraft is go for flight.
These are the two that I saw in person. See, they're standing next to each other.
You're looking at Starship serial number 9 on the right. We are counting down for today's 10-kilometer test flight. We've just passed the T-minus 4-minute mark. We are currently loading liquid methane and liquid oxygen propellants onto Starship. Today's flight will be similar to our previous flight last December. T-minus 2 minutes, continuing to count down on the flight of Starship serial number 9. That's the vehicle on the right of your screen, currently venting. On the left is Starship serial number 10, which is also being checked out for a similar flight later this month. T-minus 1 minute to the launch of Starship serial number 9. Propellant loading is complete. Next event is retract of the quick disconnect from the flight vehicle.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Starship climbing to 10-kilometer altitude. View on the right shows 3 Raptor engines burning. Everything continues to look nominal right now for the stage and for propulsion. Seconds of the flight, everything continues to be nominal with Starship. We're just passing through 3-kilometer altitude. Next major event is shutdown of engine number 3. Plus 2 minutes, flight continuing on Starship. As a reminder, this is a test flight to a 10-kilometer altitude. Engine number 3 shut down on time as planned. We're continuing to climb on 2 engines. Everything continues to go well with Starship.
Good engine performance so far. down.
T plus 3 minutes, 20 seconds. We've shut down engine 2 on time. You saw that on the screen just a few seconds ago. Starship now climbing on the power of engine number 1, headed to the 10-kilometer altitude. T plus 4 minutes. Vehicle is at 10 kilometers. It is at apogee. We're continuing to throttle down engine number 1 to hold altitude. We're preparing for handover on the propellant tank. Four and a half minutes, we are handing off to the LOX tank. We are beginning to flip to horizontal. And the white cloud, the plume you were seeing was intentional. That is a liquid oxygen dump. We've now transitioned to horizontal and beginning the subsonic test portion of the flight, where we check out the aft and the forward flaps to hold the vehicle stability as we descend back to the landing pad. T plus 5.5 minutes. Starship continuing the subsonic descent, using the forward and aft flaps to control its attitude as we come back down to the landing pad. Everything continuing to go well in this portion of flight.
Land intro.
6 minutes, 10 seconds into flight. We're down beneath 1.5 kilometers. We're preparing to restart 2 engines, flip the vehicle vertical, then transition to 1 engine for the landing burn.
Oh, I see. Let's get cameras up.
Rolling to anomaly net and opening 3.911 at this time. We will start sweeping for fires.
Well, as you can see from the scene, we had again another great flight up to the 10-kilometer apogee. We demonstrated the ability to transition the engines to the landing propellant tanks. The subsonic reentry looked very good and stable like we saw again last December, so we've got a lot of good data on flap control. And again, we've just got to work on that landing a little bit, but we'll find out from the team as they go through the data. We were in contact with telemetry all the way down. So all told, another great, and a reminder, this is a test flight, second time we've flown Starship in this configuration. We've got a lot of good data, and the primary objective to demonstrate control of the vehicle in the subsonic reentry looked to be very good, and we will take a lot out of that. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's webcast. Thanks for logging on and watching, and we'll be back with another Starship in the near future.
3, 2, 1, ignition. We have liftoff.
In the fog is SpaceX's Starship test vehicle number 11. It was just over 3 weeks ago we launched number 10 from the adjacent pad at the Starbase facility in Cameron County, Texas. For today's test, we are counting down to launch of Starship number 11 to a 10-kilometer altitude in just under 4 minutes from now. Now, as with our last test, today's flight is to gather data on using flaps to control Starship as it descends back to the landing pad before lighting its Raptor engines for touchdown. Now, we're going to do our best to find a camera view for the webcast, but as you can see, fog is everywhere at Starbase in Texas.
T-minus 2 minutes.
T-minus 2 minutes and counting. We have completed propellant loading, both the methane fuel and the liquid oxygen on board Starship Test Vehicle number 11.
T-minus 1 minute.
With T-minus 42 seconds, we're counting down. We are retracting the quick disconnect from the vehicle in preparation for launch in just over 30 seconds from now.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Good preval cycles.
10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
T plus 33 seconds. Starship Test Vehicle number 11 ascending over Starbase in South Texas.
1 kilometer altitude.
We've heard the call out. We're over 1 kilometer up. Views from the external camera on Starship number 11 looking back towards the Starbase facility in the fog in South Texas.
Four kilometers altitude.
T plus 2 minutes. We're getting ready to shut down the first of the 3 Raptor engines. T plus 2 minutes, 21 seconds. You can see we have shut down the first of the 3 engines on time as planned.
T plus 3 minutes, continuing to climb on power of 2 engines. We're past 8 kilometers. T plus 3.5 minutes. You can see with the camera view, we have shut down the second of the 3 engines as planned. We're now slowly climbing to the final 10-kilometer altitude on the power of the single Raptor engine. Once we're at apogee, we'll hover shortly, shut down the engine as we flip over, and then descend back towards the landing pad at Starbase.
10 kilometers altitude.
Coming up at T plus 4 minutes, we're at 10 kilometers altitude, and we are getting dropouts on the camera, but we continue to get telemetry from the Starbase, from the Starship vehicle. While we're waiting to reestablish video connection with the vehicle, we have shut down the third of the 3 Raptor engines as planned. We're now beginning the horizontal maneuver back down to the landing pad at the Starbase facilities. As we get close to land, we will ignite the 3 Raptor engines, flip to vertical, and then land on the thrust of a single Raptor engine. T plus 4 minutes, 40 seconds and counting, and it looks like we've got some camera views back again.
Six kilometers altitude.
T plus 5 minutes, we're passing through 5 kilometers, a nice view from the exterior camera, showing one of the flaps on the
Downrange,
Starship
cross-range
test
control
vehicle
air
number
report,
11.
Two kilometers altitude. One kilometer altitude.
T plus 545, we've just passed through 1 kilometer altitude, getting ready for the relight. We're back with you. As you can see from the frozen camera view, we lost the clock at T plus 5 minutes 49 seconds. Looks like we've had another exciting test of Starship number 11. A reminder again, this is a test series to gather data on entry of the Starship vehicle at subsonic speeds as it comes back to the landing zone. It does appear, though, that another exciting test, as we say. We don't have any good camera views to share with you right now, so with that, we are going to bring the webcast to a close. A quick recap, we had the nominal ascent, we maneuvered the horizontal when we got to 10 kilometers,
the entry, we had some nice views from the exterior camera showing the flaps were quiet as we descended, but then we had the camera freeze up as we got into the engine ignition sequence, and so we're going to have to find out from the team what happened. But with that, we'd like to thank the team and bring the webcast to a close, and we'll be back with you with Starship, the next Starship test in the near future. And for those who just joined us, the frozen view we saw on the camera doesn't mean that we were waiting for the signal to come back. Starship 11 is not coming back. Don't wait for the landing. We do appear to have lost all the data from the vehicle, and the team, of course, is away from the landing pad. So we'll be out there seeing what we had. Please follow us on social media for updates. But with that, we are going to bring the webcast to a close. Interesting flight, and as always with Starship, an exciting time on our webcast. Thank you for tuning in today.
OSC on countdown.
Copy, go ahead.
OSC, at this time, do we have concurrence that we've properly enforced the public risk clearance criteria set in our procedures and that our FAA license is intact?
Affirmative to both. I have checked in with...
Good afternoon. You're looking at SpaceX's Starship suborbital test vehicle number 15, countdown to flight in just under 5 minutes. It was almost 5 weeks ago. We launched Starship 11 on a test flight from the adjacent Pad B. Today's flight is from Pad A. Our demonstration objective again is with the last 4 flights. Slowly climb to 10-kilometer altitude, which will take about 4 minutes, turning off engines on the way up as we burn off propellant mass. Once we reach 10 kilometers altitude, we will begin the horizontal descent back to the landing zone adjacent to the launch pad. If all goes well, we'll light 3 engines to flip the stage back to vertical and eventually land on a single engine. This flight includes multiple upgrades and improvements to address the findings from the rapid unplanned disassembly we experienced on the last flight. This vehicle also incorporates changes that get us closer to the orbital configuration planned for flight later.
So I was trying not to jump in too much, but this is where the FAA got really mad at SpaceX for how SN11 came down. That's why you see nothing between 11 and 15. SpaceX continues to develop launch vehicles and move them out and perform upgrades. So they have all kinds of testing that isn't flight testing between. And it was 15 was the next one up for flight when the FAA finally granted them clearance once again to launch. That's why we see the next one to fly will be SN25. So they continue producing them and upgrading as they go with different testing protocols and different things. So 12, 13, and 14 were built. They were not flown. 15 was the next flight ready with the most current technology to go up. That's why you see a gap. They were built. They were not flown. They were disassembled and recycled.
T-minus 2 minutes, we continue to count down for Starship 15 flight. Pellet load is complete in the liquid oxygen system on the Starship. Methane fuel load is also complete on the Starship. T-minus 1 minute. All systems remain go for the flight of Starship 15. We're getting ready to disconnect the quick disconnect from the vehicle in preparation for flight. T plus 30 seconds. Starship 15 is airborne as we get a view of the 3 Raptor engines as we're powering our way to 10 kilometers altitude in today's test flight. Just past 1 minute into flight, we're through 2 kilometers altitude. All 3 Raptor engines continuing to burn. Next major event in about 1 minute is we will turn off the first of the 3 Raptor engines. Coming up at T plus 2 minutes, we appear to have frozen the view from the engine cameras. However, the Raptor engine's continuing to perform, and we've got shutdown on engine 3 on time. T plus 2 minutes 40 seconds. While we're trying to regain video from the vehicle, we continue to ascend. We have just passed the 8-kilometer point in flight. Everything continues to look good on Starship 15. Coming up on 3.5 minutes into flight, we're approaching the 10-kilometer altitude. We'll begin to hover here. We've had engine number 2 shut down on time. We'll now be moving into the hover with one engine. And then in a little bit, we will begin the flip over to horizontal position and begin our descent, where hopefully a ground camera will be able to bring us live views of the flight. Just past T plus 4 minutes into flight. We've got the views back from the Raptor engines. We get T plus 4 minutes 34 seconds. While we're working to regain video, it looks like we've got a shot looking back at the flaps on Starship. We're in the horizontal descent phase now. We're passing 6 kilometers. Now, a reminder, phase that's coming up as we get ready for landing, we will light 3 Raptor engines, flip the vehicle from horizontal to vertical. If things look good, we will shut down 1 Raptor engine and then possibly a second one and land on a single engine in the landing zone. 5 minutes into flight, Raptor continuing to descend. We're coming up on 3 kilometers altitude. We have ignition. Starship heading back to the landing zone. And Starbase Flight Control has confirmed, as you can see on the live video, we are down. The Starship has landed. We're going through the safing sequence in the flight computer right now. We'll be back in a moment. Well, if you've just joined us, you missed a great flight. Right now, we have successfully landed in the landing zone, right on the concrete. You can see we do have a small fire at the base of the vehicle, not unusual with the methane fuel that we're carrying as we continue to work on the test vehicle design. You may be able to see water going on the pad from the water cannons. But again, Starship 15, powered by 3 Raptor engines, we have successfully launched it from our facility in South Texas, landed after a routine flight where we shut engines down on the way to 10 kilometers, executed the horizontal unpowered descent, and then we got some great views of the engines lighting up as we came down for a landing at a nice slow velocity onto the concrete landing pad. The past 2 weeks have been full of accomplishments by the SpaceX team. We've had the incredible launch of the Crew 2 astronauts on the Crew Dragon Resilience. We've had the first nighttime landing and recovery of the 4 astronauts on Crew Dragon Endeavor's flight last Saturday night, and 2 successful flights of Falcon 9 in the past 7 days, each carrying 60 Starlink satellites successfully into orbit. And now the SpaceX Texas team has flown a test flight of Starship with a landing back in the landing zone here in Starbase, Texas. Also like to remember, this is the 60th anniversary of the first American in space, astronaut Alan Shepard and his Mercury capsule, and SpaceX has landed Starship successfully on this date. Again, an outstanding period as we work to enable the future of human spaceflight and expansion into the solar system. And with that, we're going to conclude today's webcast with the views here of Starship 15. Thank you for joining us here at SpaceX, and have a good day.
Attention all operators on countdown 1. We're going to start our go no go poll for today's flight. Raptor 1.
Go.
Raptor 2.
Go.
Stage 1.
Good morning. On your screen is Starship as it awaits our first ever integrated flight test from Starbase, Texas.
Flight directors go for flight. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Ignition. 2. We have liftoff.
Starship vehicle, tower clear, we're into pitch over. Onboard view from Starship. What a sight! We're flying at twice the thrust of the SN5 heading to space.
Execute. That's another engine.
Let's fucking go. And now, the future. And just to see that is insane. Just to see what is in store for this rocket is insane. We got a couple more things that we're gonna take a look at here. Just getting them prepped up here. Give me just one moment, because we all know I can't type and talk at the same time. It's impossible. Okay. All right. So we got a couple things. So this is where the problem was last time, and why they had to spin out and why it's ultimately failed. This is their fix for it, and we'll see.
Light up 6 engines in the staggered sequence. Those 6 engines required for almost 6.5 minutes.
So that's the hot staging fix. So they're going to actually hot stage it. So they're going to start the second stage while it's still attached and make an attempt to hot stage and start the rocket. Oh, I can load more than one video at a time. Other things I wanted to show you. One, if you ever get a chance, like KLI, you were saying you want to, the idea is you bring it down, several hundred passengers, reusable rocket, renewable fuel, and it should realistically become more price conscious than an airliner flying. So, I would fly in any rocket ever, any second of any day. So here is, so if you ever get a chance, Kayla, I highly suggest it, but we'll take a quick tour of it in just a moment here. But when you're getting ready for a launch, there are F-18s running air cover, and it looks... And to see something like that in person, you'll never forget. Also, another video. There'd be a lot of videos. Another video is scale of this rocket. People often lose their way in scale because things are so big and it's so hard to comprehend. But here's scale for you. This thing is massive. It's unimaginable how massive this is. Last video we're gonna watch is the flight path. I know, I believe Neo. I don't know if you're here, buddy. Yeah, yep. Because nobody can get close. Here's the projected flight path of Super Heavy Starship, whatever the hell they're calling it these days.
Starship will lift off from Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas. The Starship spacecraft and Super Heavy booster separate about 3 minutes into flight. The booster comes down to the Gulf of Mexico, close to shore, while the upper stage Starship continues on flying between the Florida Straits and achieves orbit before splashing down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of the Hawaiian island of Kauai. And once again, we can't wait to see this happen.
But just for the record, I think Obama, you're from Hawaii, right? Allegedly. Also, there is, if anybody is off the coast of Texas or off the coast of Hawaii and wants to send me a chunk of this rocket when you when it lands, you'd be my best friend ever. No question. Like it wouldn't even be a remote possibility. Like, you would be my best friend. But so we'll finish up tonight. How could it compare in size to Apollo? Well, it's much bigger. Here, I'll show you a comparison picture because it has just about twice the thrust as the Apollo. And for what it's worth, the Starship. Shit, hang on. The Starship was selected to take the first astronauts to the moon for what it's worth. So the first astronauts back to the moon. They will run Artemis 3. So even though it's not built yet, trying to look. Hang on. They had a God, I just forgot what I was looking for. I know they've had a couple different ones. Okay, so here's a good image that we can take a peek at. Share screen. So this is kind of a breakdown of the various rockets. So Starship is 120 meters tall. Saturn V, the Apollo rocket, was actually 100 meters tall, and then it cheated with its launch escape system dinghy. USS Block 1, which is the Artemis rocket, that's actually about 85 meters, and then you add on launch escape system. It's almost twice as tall as Falcon Heavy. Falcon Heavy is about 70 meters, and it's definitely twice as big as the space shuttle, which is about 60 meters. So, so it's a big boy, big boy. And like I said, the thrust is very large. Like it has quite a bit of thrust. So as compared to other rockets. So thought we'd wrap this up with a nice little jaunt on the beach and show you guys what Starbase Texas looks like from my point of view. So that is Boca Chica Beach. Beautiful. Good time. Great question. Why is it dumping in the sea and not trying to land it back on land? One, they don't have the profile to be able to land it back on land with a success rate that's high enough for the FAA to grant approval for that kind of flight maneuver. This is a very large rocket, and it is a test flight. And the only way, generally, to get approval for something this big and this crazy is to go ahead and dump it in the ocean. Now they try and bullshit you and say, well, there's ordnance on it. It will open it up and it will become a reef, a coral reef. I don't know how much I believe of that. It seems like it's just going to be junk at the bottom of the ocean, but it satisfies the government, and we know the government is bass backwards. So SpaceX is just doing what they can to get a launch license, and this was unfortunately the devil that they had to make do with. I don't agree with it. I think that they certainly could have landed it back on Earth for a good landing, but that was never part of the flight plan, and that was never part of the approval process. So they do have a landing site at Boca. They have landing zone next to the orbital launch point, orbital launch mount. So so they could, plus they have the chopsticks on the launch tower. That's the whole plan, is to, why is my screen flipping back and forth like a weird person? They do have the chopsticks as well to catch the booster. That's the whole plan, is that they're going to try and catch the booster with the chopsticks, which is actually We can look at that too. Hell, why not? Booster catch. Thanks, because now I'll look like a fucking champ tomorrow. Because I'll have all this shit up. Because I'll... Okay, so here's a good animation of the booster catch. So, SpaceX doesn't have an animation yet. But here's a good animation of how they plan to do this in the future. And we're gonna mute that because I don't know if that's copyright audio. They actually bought 2 oil platforms, and they're gonna use oil platforms off coast. So, they bought 2 retired oil platforms. He's redesigning them for the actual ship to land, but the booster will be caught by the chopsticks. Yeah, it was, but so this one I can comment on and stuff. So it's basically gonna come back, they're gonna relight some of the engines, slow the descent, and it will hover over the chopsticks. And it will catch it. And it will lower it down, and it will be able to take another payload immediately. So it will go from landing, set down, to back up to launch immediately. It takes about 2 hours to refuel, so after it can refuel, it will be ready to go. So, there's me with the Starship behind me. But anyways, back to this. This is Starbase Texas. So this is the beach view. This is going from the beach to Starbase. And you'll see on this left side the big giant crane. That's what they used to launch it, or to lift it until they got all the infrastructure in. This is the orbital launch mount. So this was in end of 2020. So that's the orbital launch mount. There's the Starship right there. There's Starhopper right to the right of it. Shit, I forgot you guys can't see my mouse on here. They need like a telestrator feature. So the crane's right there. Below the crane is the orbital launch mount. You would think. I don't. It's vented, and they think the vent is gonna hold up. I'm not so sure, but their security, they were very nice. So that's Starship to the left, the phallic-looking thing. That's Starhopper, the first video that we watched. Beautiful little guy right there. It's now used as a water tank for Starbase. So, to my understanding, I haven't been back in like very recently, but they built up permanent walls now. It was just shipping containers. This is their tiny little tank farm where they get their condensed liquid methane and liquid oxygen from. That is much bigger now. Much bigger. So then we go down this tiny Texas highway. This was what I was trying to explain the other day. So it's all kind of this marsh shit. Like it's it's not like desert. It's more of this marsh. And it's quite a drive. You'll see all kinds of construction vehicles. They actually take the bus to take the employees from SpaceX down this road to work on stuff. No, the morning. Very aerodynamic. So, like I said, it's just quite a drive here. We're rolling. Rolling. You missed a couple of them. The previous ones up to tomorrow's. The anticipation of tomorrow's. There's a gratuitous shot at Mighty. I should cut that out next time, probably. So to the right here, so that's supposed to be a restaurant at some point, like a hospitality for guests and employees. This is the deep space relay network. So that's the satellites to communicate with spacecraft. That's one of the spots in the relay network. And once we get up here, I'll pause it and show you guys some stuff. So this is the factory, and like I said, it's developed a little bit more, but hasn't really lost much of what made it. So this is another Starship. This is a mass simulator. So instead of putting the cone and all the fancy workings, when they want to test something like pressurization, or they want to test a thrust puck, or something that's not integrated, they put a big mass sensor. So mass simulator. So this is the mass of the nose cone and everything in front of it. And it's just basically a ball of metal. Essentially, well, yes and no. So he moved into Boca. He bought a lot of this land. There's the village of Boca Chica. People got very annoyed because they were having to leave their house back during the early days when they were doing a lot of pressure testing and things like that. You would have to leave your house 2-3 times a day, every single day for a year. People got frustrated. People started moving out, and then once about 50% of the people were gone, he started buying houses out of the area. So the marred with a little bit of controversy, but he really picked a remote location, and the village of Boca Chica is not very large. And from everything I've heard from the people down there, and because I've been down there a couple times and I'm nosy, so I talk to people. And from everything that I've learned from everything else, he was incredibly generous with the offerings. Of course, most of the time people don't want to move; they're established, blah blah blah. But I know he was incredibly generous and really took into account the people that were living there, and wanted to make it as smooth a transition without really can't think of the word, sorry, without really doing much to hinder progress. I think he's always had a focus on keeping progress as well as keeping people as happy as possible. And you're not going to make everybody happy 100% of the time. Like I said, from everything I've heard and everything everyone I've talked to in the area, he did probably the best he could have done. Little shady at first, but he came around at the end. Pretty much. Yeah. Yep. Maybe I might play a game or two, but I'm gonna call it soon tonight. But I will come over for a minute because I said I would. So we'll go a little bit further. So these are nose cones. So these are done up nose cones. So those go on top of the Starship. We'll see something really pretty here in just a second. This is where they're made. All your shit's made in these little tents in South Texas. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. So this is we see a couple different things here. Yeah, he created a lot of good paying jobs in Texas as well. He did not use the government power to just take the land, but paid a good price better than the government does. Yes, exactly. And there had to be a place to do it, and I believe he picked a place with the least amount of impact. So this is we wonder why this one's white. Why is this one white? Why is this one white? Well, this is the lunar nose cone. So this is for the lunar starship that will take astronauts to the surface of the moon for Artemis 3. It is right there. That's it. Realistically, it'll probably get remade because there'll probably be updates and changes, but that was their display for NASA for the Artemis 3 project. This is another Starship off here. This is your mid bay. So that's where a lot of the stacking of Starship launch vehicles take place. There's a reason why it's white. I'll have to look into it because my head hurts, so I don't remember it offhand. So this is the high bay. So this is used to stack super heavy. So these are rings. They're steel rings that he stacks, welds together, and then stacks, welds together, blah blah blah. That's just the cone. So there's no hardware in that. So that's just the stack of the cone. But yeah, I take your point. Yeah. So this is the high bay. This is where the super heavy gets stacked, and it was actually in the process of being built as I was there. I know it's reflection of radiation and reflection of different sun, but I don't remember the exact reason why some things are and some things aren't. So I don't remember if it was a NASA specific request or if it was for the scientific reason that was stated. So that's where my confusion lies. Oh shit, I missed it. So this is I missed the sign, and next time I go back, I really want to take a picture of the sign. There's a sign out front that says Starbase Texas, and it looks really cool. Tie downs where? No, I think the tie downs are on the lift. Yeah, I think the tie downs are on the lift. This is in the process of being built as well. So yeah. Yeah. Yep. The flight hardware is incredibly serious. A lot of this is covered by ITAR too. So a lot of your engines, flight hardware, flight PCs, stuff like that are not accessible or even viewable to the public. And I know that for an absolute certainty. However, this is the most open facility I've ever been to. And word is that it's closed up a little bit. I haven't been back this year. I'd like to. It's just not going to happen right now. But this is the most open space launch facility I've ever seen in my entire life. Developmental facility, whatever you want to call it. So that will likely and probably change. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's kind of your trip around Starbase, trip around what's happening in the morning. So Brian and I are going to go live at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Should be a lot of fun. Hang on, I'm seeing, just making sure they haven't changed it, because it'd piss me off if they did. So because there was something. I just want to make sure. And after this, we're gonna send you over to Shinny. Shinny's playing games with the rest of the fam and friends. So that'd be fun. Head over there. Well, you won't even have to head over there. I'll just shuttle everybody over there. Nope. SpaceX still has 7 a.m. Central Time. So we'll go live at 7 a.m. Eastern, explain some of the stuff in more detail, kind of what's going to happen. And then there is a 20-minute launch window. So we'll hopefully get a flight tomorrow. If not, then we'll reschedule and we'll do it all over again. It's so incredible. It's so incredible. I wish I could have made it to this one, but it wasn't. I believe they planted the trees, if I'm not mistaken. I think they planted the trees from what I heard, but yeah, it's incredible. And this is unlike nothing that anyone's ever seen before. It's more power than the Saturn V, the Apollo launch program. So it'll be excuse me. That's my cue. My voice is gone again. So I hope to catch you all tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. a couple hours from now. And we'll be hopefully watching a Starship flight. I'm very excited. I cannot wait. I thank you for watching the pre-show to the show. I hope to see y'all soon. Have a good night.